What's up, guys? It's Bromley, and today I'm taking you through one of my workouts in prep for Clash on the Coast. We got some pretty big news, actually. We found out that they got a deal with ESPN, so the finals are actually going to be aired on ESPN a couple of weeks after the event. So this is my high-frequency approach. Remember, there's 11 events between the qualifiers and the finals over 3 days, so I decided that the only way I could get through all of it is if I took a high-frequency approach and did my static movement and events pretty much every day. I'm really pleased with how it's going so far. I usually bias away from high frequency for recovery purposes, but I found that if I just make some key tweaks, I can actually recover pretty well. My joints are holding up and everything's increasing week to week, which is it's fantastic. So this is my setup for the squat. They ditched the lever squat. They were going to have the kind of World Strongman barrel setup where they dump a barrel in after each one. And they ditched that, I think, for logistical reasons. It's in the qualifier, which works for me. They're doing a 600-pound axle squat, 2 boxes, 4 reps. So this is me just playing with my setup, figuring out what's friendly with my knees, but what setup also gives me the most power and how I can game the timing. Because there's a way to kind of game how you rebound off the boxes a little bit. It doesn't bounce immensely, but it does optimize stretch reflex a bit. So if you time it just right, if you hit it just right, I noticed that there is actually a skill to that can benefit me. So this practice before the event is actually very vital. My knees, thankfully, felt pretty good. Took my liberties with some icy hot, some ibuprofen. I got sleeves and wraps on for that compression, and they held up pretty nicely. So my last workout, I worked up to a 515, and it felt okay. I haven't been over 500 a lot since my knees have been bugging me. And I was only planning on going to this weight. I was planning to go to 435. And once I saw how it felt, like my bracing was immensely better. I felt a lot more stable. My change of direction was quick. So I decided to jump ahead because I only have about 3 weeks left to get this peaked out. And I jumped to 485, and I was just really immensely pleased with how it felt. I'm alternating this with a box squat day against bands to get a little extra practice without compounding stress too much of the bottom position on my knees and hips. And that, I think, is doing the trick. So this is one of my favorite progressions, actually. This is what I've used to bring my squat back to life multiple times. I'm basically doing what the Grayskull LP recommends, 3x5 with a plus set at the end. So the third set is as many as you can do. And that intensity in terms of effort, that extra effort you put on the AMRAP set, paired with the volume where you add weight each session in a fixed capacity, it's just really amazing for very aggressive short-term growth. But keep in mind, most of my growth in the past is based around rep squatting. So if you're one of those one pump chumps, if you like singles, if maybe your legs are a little longer, squatting is a little more cumbersome, maybe you're used to lower rep ranges and heavier weights, it might not work quite as well for you, at least off the bat. But given I have short legs, it's a very efficient movement, key developmental exercise for me. So I found that just by setting that baseline, usually I try to pick week 1, something that I can do 10 to 12 reps on the AMRAP. And then I don't do it with the 5-pound linear progression that the Grayskull LP does. I'll do it a little more aggressively for a shorter period of time. So I'll bank on 4 or 5 weeks, adding 20 to 30 pounds each session until the last one is a pretty hard 3x5. So that's how I try to pace those jumps. Right here, I can feel myself shifting to one leg. I don't know if that's a hip imbalance or if I'm standing on uneven terrain. It's a little uneven right there. The concrete isn't quite leveled. But I was immensely pleased. That felt really good. So I'm getting hopeful that 3 to 5 reps at 600 is probably in my wheelhouse. And I think that'll be good, unless I get put with one of the 2 or 3 freak squatters there. I think that'll be good to take that event. So now I'm switching. I avoided doing axle cleans because this is where everybody messes themselves up. We had one guy Andrew Clayton, did really well in the qualifiers. He had to pull out because putting up his qualification axle clean and press took his bicep. So he got a strain and had to pull out. So I waited until the last 3 weeks. This is one, it's a little technical, but it's not too hard for me to brush up on. So I don't like compounding that stress unnecessarily and risk the injury. I tend to struggle most in the transition from my gut to my shoulder. So trying to get my flexibility, trying to figure out how to receive it. And I'm going thumbless in anticipation of the fixed axle where it's not going to be able to rotate. So I set this up in the rack, and that was a good workaround because I get to focus just on where I'm at on my belt, to the gut, to the rack, and then I can go into my jerk. And this is probably how I'm going to hit my biggest attempts, is with the jerk. So in these last 3 to 4 weeks, this is what I'm refining and dialing in. The part with a mix grip from the ground to your belt, that is the most low-tech part. It is very straightforward, very easy to pull off. It is also where everybody happens to injure themselves. And that underhand is where that bicep tends to go. So by eliminating it, I feel like I can, mitigate my risk a good amount and really dial in the part I was having trouble with. So I figured out that when the axle's on my belt, if I take a big breath, you'll see me open my mouth, take a big breath, that makes my abdominals more rigid, because I had a problem going soft when the axle was on my gut. So right here, big breath, right there, it's tight, and then I can transition quickly, get my elbows through. See, that rocked me back just a little bit, but it felt really efficient aside from that. So if I can get out of the rack and play around with my feet a little more, I think I can get more stable, and that's what I do on the next set. So I like to use, with stuff like this that's technical, especially where I'm getting practice, not going maximal, but getting practice with singles and doubles, I like to vary the load. Load variation, Chico actually talks about that a bit. There's a lot of coaches that use it as a way to keep your nervous system fresh. Wave loading, where you build up, drop back down, build up again. You go a little heavier each time within a workout. You take advantage of post-activation potentiation, so the weight feels a little bit lighter every time you do it. And I find for technical stuff where I'm a little uncertain, as I build back up, I get a little more confidence each time. So this is something I've used for stuff like dumbbell work. It's really good for Olympic lifting, snatches and cleans and variations like that, things that need to be explosive, and things that have a little bit of a technical component to it, where varying the weight, kind of waving up and down within a workout, can help you reestablish good technical cues, and then you build back up into the heavy weight, and it always feels a little bit better on the second and third waves. So I finished with a confidence single here. I qualified a couple weeks ago with a 353. I want to get something in the high threes. So this 325 moved extremely well, just extremely fast. That was the best clean I think I had, and that was one of the easiest press. I felt like I could have done that for 10. So that was just a confidence single, and I'm going to ratchet up a bit heavier as I go into my taper, ideally finishing with something like a 370, 380 on my last day. And then, if my taper goes just right, and God willing, I make the final, I have the opportunity to try something like a 400. That's really the big goal. Oh, right here, this is my wife, Laura. She has a contest in Arizona in a week, and there is a max 13-inch wagon wheel deadlift on an axle, and she smokes this 365. This is an all-time PR for her. She's never handled this weight before. She's actually better off the floor. Before this cycle started about 6 weeks ago, she had never pulled over 275 from 13 inches, and she had a history of back issues that she had some physical therapy for. She has an extra vertebra, and it triggers a nerve, and when she's in an awkward position, it lights it up, and it causes severe problems. So 13 inches exposed the hell out of that spot, and she got some really, really bad back pain to the point where she couldn't drill this. So we got creative. I had her on a split where we were just going based off RPE, just based off whatever she felt that day. And on good days, we pushed it. And on days where it was a little sluggish, we kept it back. And it culminated with this. This is her last big deadlift. She's got 9 or 10 days, I think, until her contest, which is plenty of time to recover. And her weight is actually 375 for reps if they don't lower it, which I'm pretty confident based off that pull and based on how dialed in she gets around her taper and her peak. I'm pretty confident she'll have 2 or 3 reps there, and I think that'll be good. She normally competes under 140, but she's going into the middleweights this time around. So that'll be fun. A couple of the girls are doing this event with her. Emily Elliott, Gabby, Eric King's girlfriend, is going. It's an all-woman show in Arizona, so that'll be really cool for them. So here I'm doing block pulls, and I'm doing this to keep my hip hinge alive. This is a big set for me. This actually moved fantastically well, much better than I thought it would. I was going to just focus on squatting and trap bar deads because there's a squat and a side bar deadlift, side handle deadlift. But the thing is, my hips need to stay strong, and they're not quite up to snuff. The last 3 big shows from 2019 to 2020, the Arnold, Nationals, and OSG all had big deadlifts. So when I came in with my hips strong, all my events went better. So I wanted to make sure I didn't slack off on that. So I hit that 635 for 5. Another thing I like to do when deadlifting isn't a priority to keep it in is I rotate bars. I went from an axle on week 1 to a stiff bar to this week going to the spaghetti bar. It just felt stupid. It felt like I was pulling against reverse bands. So a little bit of overload there that I think worked very well. And that was kind of a nice creative workaround. Now I'm doing sandbag work and I'm practicing shouldering for it takes a couple attempts. This is my light week. Last week was my heavy week. It's where I hit all my biggest singles, biggest squats and presses and deadlifts. And this week is to kind of clear out before I run through my taper. So this is 250 and I'm just practicing being fast and quick with it. It's a 300 bag. Our chain, these chains together are probably 450. I don't know how much heavier it's going to be. I'm anticipating it's going to be heavier, but I don't know that it's going to be. This is going to be a very light, very fast run. So today with the light bag, I'm practicing shouldering. And if I can shoulder it quickly, I can run a bit faster, but it's only 50 feet. So the transition might make up for the foot speed. I might be better just grabbing and going. But the next couple of weeks, I'll be with the 300 bag. I'll test it out, see what's faster. Right there, I had a good shoulder, knocked me back a little bit. But I can even open up a little bit faster than that if I wasn't surrounded by people. On these runs late at night, I always have to make sure that I don't mow anybody over with the bag. So I got to work on my hand speed. That's going back to speed training from football, getting those hands going, making sure I don't lose anything with my foot speed. And here we go. We finished with the drag. And I got to figure out how to move a little quicker. I've been doing it with an extra 200 pounds of weight on a sled that I pull behind it. And I really thought that would go a lot faster. And I don't know if it's how short my legs are. It's only so fast I can chop them. But I got to really figure out how to pick that thing up and just haul ass on the way back. That was right around 30 seconds. And for that run, I'd like to see that around 25 seconds. So I'll see what I can do to fix my transition, move my feet a little quicker. And then this is where I walk outside and try not to die. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll probably post up some results from Laura's show, from the all-women show in Arizona that's going on next week. And I'll probably put that up on my my YouTube and Instagram stories. And I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted with Clash on the Coast. Remember, end of April, April 29th or 30th, I believe. It's a 3-day show. They're starting it off with the log lift championships. They have like 10 guys that all press over a 450 log. It's going to be nuts. They're doing the women's record breakers, then they go into our show. All of it will be live streamed on Core Sports. So go to Core Sports, sign up. We need to make sure that this is an annual event, that this really does kick off a new era in strongman as far as getting bigger sponsors involved, having more divisions, making sure that there is more reach. And that's going to be really the best way to get this to grow at the top end, which is what this sport is desperately in need of. We got plenty of people at the amateur level. Now we need to grow out the top end and make this a staple. And these guys, Anthony Furman, Jackson Reeves, they are really making it happen. So I'm excited. I'll keep you guys posted. Watch the live stream. God willing, I make the finals. You'll see me. God willing, I make the finals and you'll see me on ESPN. But either way, I'll be out there and I'll keep you guys posted. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.